Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Our show originates in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA. We connect you to the songwriters and the stories behind your favorite songs. Join us as we take a look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Now, here's your host, Dave Linehan.
Hi, I'm Dave. Yeah, I'm in Music City. I'm a songwriter surrounded by a great community of songwriters. And each time we get on the show, we're going to share one of these fascinating stories from one of these writers. And I thank you for joining me. Today marks our 10th show in season 1. Hard to believe, 10 shows already. And originally, and I talked about this on past podcasts, the plan was a 20-show first season, releasing a new podcast every other week and going through the end of October. But, things can change, right? And I never expected to line up so many great guests in our inaugural season like we have. And besides, I'm having a blast. So right around episode 4, I decided to just go ahead and publish once a week. And I hope you don't mind. And I thank you for downloading these and listening to them because I'm surely having a good time. And we may go more than the original 20 for season 1. We'll see how it goes, and I'll keep you posted. And I'd like to remind you again, find us on the socials, if you will, especially on Facebook, because it's really easy to comment there at the Songwriter Connection podcast. You'll find us on YouTube as well. Easy to definitely comment there as well. It's just a slide. Don't worry, you're not on camera here. Eddie's our guest today. We don't put, I have a face for radio, like Bill White talked about on episode 3, I believe it was. So anyway, we'll just keep going the way we are right now. My guest today is an amazing writer and performer, a very gifted musician, one of the best guitar players really I have ever seen. And he joins us on Zoom. His name is Eddie Heinzelman. Eddie, good to see you. Thanks for being with us today. How you doing?
Thanks so much for having me on here, man. It's great to see you.
Yeah. In a lot of circles, you're known as Cousin Eddie. Is that right?
that's my adopted name. Yeah.
Yeah. Got to be a story.
Randy gave me that name about 9 years ago. So
Randy Foster did, who you've been playing with a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I'm driving down Route 40 last month. And those overhead signs that always tell you, seat belts, and, this many highway deaths in Tennessee, right? It actually said, Cousin Eddie says, the internet is full. Put down your phone and drive. And I'm like, right. I know that guy. I was going to call you and go, hey, is that true? Is the internet full?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Now, I just got a kick out of it. I got to know you back in Cincinnati. We were both in the NSAI chapter there, Nashville Songwriters Association International, which we've talked about a lot on this show. And I also knew you for all the, the bands you were always playing around. Like I say, one of the best guitar players. And, I can remember, can I tell a story about you before we really get into it?
Yeah.
There was a night we used to have this TV show through NSAI called Nashville Songwriter Connection, and we would bring in Nashville songwriters up to interview for our little show, and they would always put on a show afterwards at this place called the historic Claremont Inn in Batavia, which is just outside of Cincinnati. And we were really lucky to have Jeffrey Steele, who was at the time, and it still is, one of Nashville's finest songwriters. Amazing hits, guys, and a great performer. And he's a left-handed guitar player, and he always comes with 2 guitars, 12 and a 6. And we're all at the show watching it, and he's putting on a great show, and he decides to do a song on his 12-string, and he picks it up, and he goes, oh, by the way, if there are any lead guitar players here that can play a left-handed guitar, you can pick up this one. And everybody starts looking at you, and I hear people going, Eddie. Now, Eddie is, you need to know that Eddie is a right-handed guitar player. Eddie goes up on that stage, flips that guitar over, and plays inverted through the whole thing, and never missed a beat. It was the most amazing thing I think I've ever witnessed. How did you do that? It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a fun night. That was a fun night. And somebody has a picture of it.
Oh, really?
I can't remember. I've seen a picture of me on stage holding that guitar upside down with Jeffrey somewhere, But it was a little bit of math at first, I think, just to sit there and look at it, because I think originally I had just got up and he was looking for somebody to do sort of a rhythm thing,
mm-hmm.
and I don't.
You don't do
I
it.
don't know. I'm not going to beatbox or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, can I use guitar? And he was like, well, sure. And then that's when I realized, I've got to flip it over, and I thought, well, at this point, I'm just going to play along with him.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, I think it shocked him as well.
It's not easy to do. It was kind of a Jimi Hendrix moment there that we all witnessed.
Yeah.
It was absolutely crazy. Well, you are a gifted guitar player. You went to, you're classically trained. You've played jazz, all genres. And I want to get that whole story and really dig into that. But first, I want to play a song. And I want to go back to your album, which I really loved, called Hey Songwriter. That'll get your attention. Hey Songwriter, that album. And one of my favorite Eddie Heinzelman songs. And I think I first heard this song. You were at my house with the co-writer, and I can't recall his name. I'm talking about the song She's Water. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, with Chuck. Chuck Allen Floyd.
Chuck Allen Floyd, that's right. Gifted songwriter. Yeah. Yes. You guys wrote this song, and I still think it's a hit. I'm going to play it for you right now. She's Water. Eddie Heinzelman's our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Thanks for joining us.
She always says I'm her rock. There when she needs something strong. But what she doesn't know, she's water, and that's stronger than stone. She cut a canyon right through the heart of me, smoothing the edges and scars that were carved in me. She made a garden where nothing would grow. She's water, and that's stronger than stone. As hard as I know I can be, the sea, but she's just as gentle as falling snow. She's water, and that's stronger than stone. She cut a canyon right through the heart of me, and scars that were carved in me. She made a garden where nothing would grow. She's water, and that's stronger than stone. She cut a canyon right through the heart of me, smoothing the edges and scars that were carved in me. She made a garden where nothing would grow. She's water, and that's stronger than stone. She's stronger than stone.
Is that not a great song? I think so. I really do. Eddie Heinzelman is our guest, cousin Eddie. Good to have you on the show. That is called "She Is Water," and they say the bro country's kind of going out and the boyfriend country coming in. So that song, I think, is hit potential right there.
Well, I wouldn't argue with that, but I appreciate it very much.
I absolutely love it, and that was on your CD, which is called "Hey Songwriter." And your CDs are out there, right? Where can we pick them up and see them? And they're everywhere, really.
Yeah, where all fine music is sold. Actually, I'm on all the streaming services.
Oh yeah.
I believe the physical CDs are still available, possibly at CD Baby and Amazon, or of course my website, which is just eddieheinzelman.com. So. Check
that out. I mean, it's a great site. It's just chock full of information, and it's good stuff. It's HEINZELMAN, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
HEINZ.
That's what I said. Like, if you can spell it, I'm not hard to find.
Now, Eddie, I
probably could have picked a better stage name, but
Cousin Eddie works. I think I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Humperdinck was already taken.
Yeah, I don't think that would have worked for you. As I mentioned, you are quite a gifted guitar player, and I read an interesting story about your first guitar at the age of 8 years old.
Yes.
Yeah. Your grandma bought it for you?
Yeah. My grandmother. So I grew up on a farm in southeastern Indiana, just west of Cincinnati, and being a little country boy, the whole thing was. I was really into singing cowboys when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to be Gene Autry.
Wow.
And so my grandmother, for my 8th Christmas, when I was 8 years old, bought me a little harmony guitar from Sears.
I remember those.
And it was the little red, black sunburst with the white pick guard and just had a rope for a strap, a braided rope that was about that thick.
How about that?
And so, but nobody really in my family played music or anything.
Really?
No. Rumor had it that grandma played piano, but no one owned a piano. I'd never heard her play piano. So she got me that guitar, and then within just a couple months, my mom worked in Western Hills.
West Side of Cincinnati,
that area, the West Side.
Yep.
And so there was a Willis music store, just in the same strip mall where my mom worked, and so I just bugged the crap out of her that I wanted to learn how to play guitar. So one day, on her lunch break, she went down to the store and signed me up for lessons.
Wow.
And,
so
the rest is history.
Let me ask you this. If so many guests on the show, they came from a musical family and grew up singing in church or with their folks. And where did it come from for you then? Where do you think it came from? What gave you that desire?
I honestly, I'm not sure I know. It was just one of the things that, again, kind of growing up on the farm, we always listened to the radio when we were working out in the barn and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And every Saturday night, like people do, I would spend time with my grandparents and we would watch Hee Haw.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, seeing Roy Clark and all of those country acts originally, might have spurred it a little bit as well. But again, watching those cowboy shows, black
mm-hmm.
and white, Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and the Cisco Kid and,
wow,
Big Valley and Bonanza.
so did you have a horse? Did you?
Well, I did at one point. I had a pony.
You had a pony? Guitar to pony?
Yeah,
6-gun on your side?
That's it.
The Legend of Buster Scruggs.
Absolutely. Right? Right.
Yeah.
So that's essentially, I think, where it kind of started.
Yeah.
And then when I started taking guitar lessons, the first teacher that I had was a classical guitar student at the University of Cincinnati at the Conservatory of Music.
Very
and so,
prestigious.
Of course, we walk in and I said, I want to take guitar lessons. He says, well, I'll teach you how to play guitar, but I'm going to teach you how to play it right. And so I said, okay. And that started, formal classical lessons.
Wow.
That I played for, or that I took for about 5 years.
Wow.
So
fantastic. And then eventually,
by the time I was,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. By the time you were,
I was just going to say, and then, by the time, he went on to grad school, and as he was leaving, at that point, I was being kind of groomed by him to go into the conservatory myself as a classical student. And I was only, 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
13 years old, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I had gotten the rock and roll bug.
Yeah, I did.
So I've told this story before. My brother brought home Led Zeppelin 4.
The Symbols
from school
record.
One day.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I heard Jimmy Page and
all over.
Destroyed everything.
He was amazing. Yeah. There's a great episode on, I think I saw it on Prime Video about the making of that record and what all those symbols meant, and it's fascinating. Just sideline.
Oh, sure, yeah.
If you haven't had a chance to see that, check it out. It's pretty good. So now you discover rock and roll. But, here's the thing I love about you, Eddie. I took a guitar lesson from you not too long ago online. And the way you teach, I can tell that you've studied these masters. And what I loved about the lessons is not only did you show us how to play, but you told us who developed that style and, where it came from. And you showed us videos. So you studied all these great guitarists, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the way that I approached everything from the beginning was, again, from the time I was a kid, and I still do, is I would hear about, and this is pre-internet, right? This is
right.
Late 70s.
Yeah.
So I would read a magazine or hear about a guitar player. So, for example, Eric Clapton. I'd hear Eric Clapton on the radio. And, of course, Wonderful Tonight was on the radio every other song back then, right? Yeah. Or every junior high dance you went to, And so I go, okay, who's Eric Clapton? Well, I'd read up on him and I'd see, he used to play with a band called Cream. So I'd go out and buy a Cream album. And I'd study it and I'd learn the songs off of it. And I go, well, before Cream, he was in a band called the Yardbirds. So I'd go buy a Yardbirds album. And before the Yardbirds were influenced by, Lightning Hopkins.
Yeah,
so
blues.
I'd go buy a Lightning Hopkins record.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So I would start with whoever, and I would work my way back through their career into their influences. And I would go out and buy albums by, whoever this was. And I would sit and study what they did and learn the songs off of it and learn the style. And so, yeah, that was a big part of
and not just
my education, musical education.
And not just country and blues, but I mean, you span the genres. I mean, jazz, country, and that's just amazing to me. Who are some of your favorite jazz players?
Well, the whole way I got into jazz was again sort of through rock and roll, and this influence thing is I got introduced to Frank Zappa. Again, I'm a teenager. Yeah. And I'm a big Frank Zappa fan. And so at one point I had this crazy idea in my mind that I was going to learn enough that I could audition for Frank.
Wow.
Now I'm in the middle of Indiana, so the chance of actually getting that audition was something else. But the point was like, who are the best musicians on the planet that know theory and all this stuff and like who influenced, the music that Frank played. And I was like, well, I've got to study jazz. Mm-hmm. So the first jazz guitarist that I knew of and came across was Wes Montgomery.
Oh yeah.
So same thing. His first album I bought was a Wes Montgomery album. And immediately from there, again, doing the thing that I do, started researching people. And it led me to, jump. And there's so many guitarists and so many musicians in jazz, and you jump around all the eras and everything. But my absolute, typically my favorites that I still cite as my primary influences are Wes Montgomery, and who also influenced George Benson. I'm a huge George Benson fan. And a guitarist named Jim Hall.
Jim Hall.
And Jim was certainly one of my big influences. Because he approached things a little differently than like Wes and a lot of guys played in a kind of traditional swing bebop style, and Jim played in a little more modern style, using a lot more space. He wasn't filling up everything with notes. He was doing colors and this tension thing and
different modes and things.
So he's a big influence.
Fantastic. I could talk about guitars and jazz all day long. I love jazz music. My first job in radio was actually jazz. My first paid gig, and I still love jazz music today. But I want to read a quote here and get toward your next. Oh, you know what? Well, I'll continue with that thought here. I have a cat who is trying to get in on the show, Eddie, and I'm kind of a little bit distracted by her. It's Juliet. She's sitting right here. I'm trying to pet her. And what I wanted to ask you, all that guitar learning that you did, going back, doing it the way you did, how did that help your songwriting? How does that affect your songwriting even today?
Well, that may be an intangible for me to describe, because it's not something always conscious, right? Mm-hmm. The whole thing with me, and so it's a lot of times when people do the same thing, they'll ask about, should I learn music theory? Yeah. And then a lot of, that's like a wedge you can drive between two different sides of the fence, right? Oh, don't learn theory because it'll mess you up, and
no, I don't agree.
Affect your creativity. Oh, you got to know theory. And well, to me, it's like everything else. Like I've said in lessons, everything to me is like having the right tool in your toolbox, And so it's the same thing. Being able to play guitar and play the various styles, I think, and again, not really thought about this as an answer, but I think what happens is then I don't have to maybe search for a sound as much. I may already know, it may already be in there somewhere. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't have to, I know chords and I know theory. And so if I'm looking for a certain sound, I can gravitate towards that maybe a little easier. Or if I'm writing a song in a particular vein, somebody says, hey, I want this to sound like X.
Yes.
I can go, oh, X uses these types of things,
right.
And so that can help me get there faster.
I've been in sessions where like, what goes, what's the next progression? Where would the next chord go? And you're searching. Right. Where a guy like you can just go, it'll be here. Here's some options for you. And so very cool. I want to brag on you a little bit. I look at the list of people that you've played with over the years, Eddie, and it's a who's who. Radney Foster, who I'm going to talk about in a bit, Darius Rucker, Leroy Parnell, Ricky Skaggs, Vince Gill, Daryl Worley, Larry Gatlin, Gene Watson. You've played with all of the greats, and that's got to feel great. That's just awesome.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate and very blessed, but yeah, it's really amazing. Like I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but 2 years ago I was inducted into the Southeastern Indiana Musicians Hall of Fame.
Yes, say it again because it just got cut. It's the Southeastern Indiana Musicians Hall of Fame.
Yes,
back in 2019. What an honor, huh?
Yeah. Oh, incredible honor. And one of the things I even said, that night was, I really, again, we're talking about growing up on a farm and my grandma giving me a guitar. Mm-hmm. And I said, I had no idea, that one day I would actually get to perform with, people that, I saw on TV or people that I idolized, some of my heroes, people that I consider influences. I never thought I probably never dreamed that big, back then.
I love that. I love that story. Here's a quote, and I want to run this by you, and it'll get us to our next section. It says, Eddie is an amazing guitar player, a dang fine singer-songwriter, and a prince of a man. I have to agree with that. He's a great harmony singer. He makes me better on stage. Eddie writes, sings, and plays with an abundance of heart and talent. And that comes from one of my all-time favorite songwriters, Radney Foster, who you've been playing with for quite some time. That's amazing.
Yeah, going on 9 years now.
9 years. How did you guys hook up?
Crazy Nashville story, right? It's the whole, remember, everybody says you must be present to win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I don't, if you remember, a singer in town, Jessica Ray.
I do. Lovely lady. Yes.
Yeah. Love Jessica. And so, you move to town and you start co-writing with people and you start performing with people. And so Jessica and I knew each other. We had mutual friends. And at some point, I've been in town several years, and she got the gig. Radney in 2012, I'll go all the way back. 2012, he re-recorded an acoustic version of his Del Rio, Texas album. It was the 20th anniversary because it was originally released in 1992. So he does this acoustic record and goes on tour with sort of an acoustic trio.
Okay.
And Jessica Ray got the gig, playing fiddle and singing background with him.
Oh, that's right. She's a great fiddle player. Yeah.
And then in 2013, in the kind of the middle of the tour, the guitar player that they were using left. And so one day I'm sitting here in my office studio, and I get a text, and it's from Jessica. And it had been a while since I'd talked to her because I knew she was out on the road on tour, and so it'd probably been about a year or more. And she says, "Can you fly to Texas and play 2 shows with Radney Foster?"
Let me think about that.
Yeah. That's what I said. I didn't look at a calendar. I didn't,
Yeah, I'm there.
I said yes.
You probably didn't even need a plane. You just.
Whatever it is. Yes, it's Radney Foster. Yes.
We're there. Yeah.
Because like you, same thing. I mean, he's
brilliant.
One of my favorite songwriters, and he's one I consider an influence of my writing from years back. And so she said, "Okay, I'll let you know." That was it. That's all So this was right around the time of Tin Pan South of that year. So Radney's playing Third and Lindsley. I go to the show. I made sure after the show, I walked up to him and said, "Hey, Radney, I'm Eddie Heinzelman. Jessica Ray texted me saying you might need a guitar player." And he says, "Yeah, man, I just might. We got a couple shows coming up in Dallas." And he goes, "We'll give you a call." Okay. A few weeks go by.
It's how sometimes it works. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then I get a call from or a message from his manager that says, "Can you do these 2 dates?"
Wow.
I flew down to Texas with Radney and Jessica, and we played 2 shows. And again, I thought they went fine, and we flew back, and then it was like 3 months. I didn't hear a word. Thanks for playing. Okay, hey, at least I got to play with Radney Foster.
Right.
And then it was like 3 months later, I got another message from the manager saying, "Hey, we've got 5 more shows. Can you come and play those?"
Wow.
Yes.
Becoming a thing. Yeah.
And so I went and did those next batch of shows, and it was after that Radney offered me the gig.
That is awesome. And of course,
I've been with him since.
In Texas, it's a whole nother country. It's got their own charts and everything. It's just like, yeah. So, and you're big in Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
And I hadn't really spent any time in Texas prior to that. So the other side that, when your introduction to Texas is, somebody like Radney, that helps a lot too.
Love Radney. Well, we're going to play a song that you and Randy are on. This is from your new record, and it's the title track. What can you tell us about it?
Well, so I've been touring with Radney for a few years, and one of the things that I was doing at the time was I was spending a lot of time on the road. So the first album, Hey Songwriter, was some of my sort of singer-songwritery songs and kind of a collection of stuff that I thought, songs can't do their job. There are things that I pitched around town, but songs can't do their job if they're sitting on a computer somewhere.
That's true.
So they need to get out there to the public. So I'm just going to release this batch of songs. Well, then come my time for my second album, I was like, okay, now I need to do like an album that's structured and all the, kind of
great.
Uniform. And I was on the road so much with Radney that I started, there's a little bit of a road feel to this second album. And so what I was ending up doing was writing. Like we would fly back and forth, from Nashville to Texas, and I was writing on the plane. And so that's what happened. The idea for this came to me, and the whole premise was my daughters were graduating high school and getting ready to go to college. And so I had this thought of, we all do this. We all grow up and we take our own path, right? Yeah. And I wanted them to know that regardless of the path they take, that even if I can't always be there with them or whatever, that they certainly always have, they can take my love, wherever they go. And so I took that to Radney as when we got together to write, and he had teenage children. They were a little younger than mine. They were all in high school, and he was like, that I get that. I get that a lot, that point. And so we wrote it. The idea is it's not just about our kids, but it's about anybody who's pursuing a dream or going off on a journey.
Oh, wow.
And then I started, I was really fortunate to write that with Radney. We put it on the record, and then that's what I started ending all of my shows with. I tell my audiences at the end of the night, that if you ever think you're alone, you're never alone. And if nothing else, you can always take my love with you wherever you go.
Well, I don't want to end the show here, but I do want to play the song, okay? So let's play you and Radney Foster together. Eddie Heinzelman is my guest. This is the Songwriter Connection podcast. Wherever you go.
Every single journey in the world starts with the first step. You can walk, you can ride, you can fly, but don't you ever forget. The road's never easy and it's always filled with goodbyes. It's better to take love with you than it is to throw it aside. Love's gonna heal you, love's gonna hurt you, swing you low and take you high. Hold you like a sparrow, it's never straight and narrow. Be the stars that fill your midnight sky. Oh, I know, you gotta take your own road. Take my love with you wherever you go. I could steal away your next 100 heartaches. Wish I could save you from every single mistake. I know I couldn't hold you back even if I tried. Just remember when you're staring at your future with those 1,000-mile eyes. Love's gonna heal you, love's gonna hurt you, swing you low and take you high. Hold you like a sparrow, it's never straight and narrow. Be the stars that fill your midnight sky. Oh, I know, you gotta take your own road. Take my love with you wherever you go.
Song is called Wherever You Go. From the CD, the record, Wherever You Go. It's our guest today, Eddie Heinzelman, along with Radney Foster. Does he allow you to call him Rad?
Oh, sure.
Sure. Is that what he goes by, Rad? Hey, Rad. You know, I got to tell you, I love the slide guitar work on that song and throughout this whole record. And folks listening, if this is a record really you've got to pick up. It's Wherever You Go. Eddie Heinzelman, our guest, cousin Eddie. And it's just, there's every track on this is going to blow you away. It's just a great record. And we're going to play a couple more songs before we let you get out of here today. So we just love it. I was at the CD release party and Radney joined you there. And it was just a great show out at the local here in Nashville. Even Heidi Newfield was there, who we hope to have on the show here in just a little while. And it was just a wonderful night of music. And I could tell you were having a good time too.
Yeah, it was a blast, and I'm really, again, thankful that Radney and Heidi were able to be there. And the one thing I really enjoy about this is I got to give credit to Casey Wood, who's the producer and the drummer, for helping me put together, bring some friends over. We had Kendra Chantel doing background vocals, and then for the show, for the live show, I also had Holly Hamill, and I mean, it's Tommy Mack on bass, who plays with Jeffrey Steele.
That's right, Tommy Mack. That's right. I remember now. Yes,
David Lee Murphy, and I mean, it's
what a band. Yeah. It was a fun night.
When you have guys like that and girls, behind you, it certainly is a lot of fun.
I have two questions regarding this CD. First of all, I need to know about that car on the cover. I am into old cars, man, and that is just a gorgeous car. It's a Buick, isn't it? What is that? Where'd it come from?
Oh, it's a Cutlass. It's a
Cutlass.
72 Cutlass.
Oh, it's a Cutlass. Okay. Yeah. Gorgeous. Gold. Man.
It was the photographer's brother's car.
Wow.
And, we were talking about, I booked this session. I had this idea for the road and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. And she was like, well, my brother's got an old car. You want to use it? And I was like, what is it? And she said, I don't know. And I said, if it's a cool looking car, then sure. And
turns out it was.
We met out at the Loveless Cafe, and all of a sudden he pulled up, and I said, yeah, that'll work.
That'll work. Absolutely. That's great.
You notice I wasn't really allowed to sit in it.
So you couldn't even drive it, huh? You couldn't sit in it,
no.
let alone drive it. Okay. Well, there goes all my shattered dreams.
Right.
Now, there's a song in this record, and the first time I heard it was at the CD release party, and I as soon as I heard it, I knew there had to be a story behind it. And the song is "Damn It, Mary," and it's about Mary Gaucher, who is such a talented writer, and I just absolutely love her. So let's have the story, and then we're going to play the song. Damn It, Mary.
Sure. So, again, my introduction to Mary Gaucher goes back many, many years here in town when she came to town, and she was writing for Harlan Howard music. And she just has this way of writing a song. One of my favorite songwriters in the world, I'm not comparing the two, but just as a reference, one of my favorite songwriters in the world is Steve Earle.
Yeah, I like him too. Love him.
I always love Steve because he has a way of using regular words and regular language, but he has a unique way of saying things that really kind of can get to the heart of something,
Yep.
And Mary has that as well. I mean, she
does.
Just, the way I just, and I love her as a person. I met her and I just really love Mary. So the story comes from she and Radney and Darden Smith were in an organization called Songwriting with Soldiers.
Yeah.
And they write songs with soldiers as therapy and catharsis and
that's great
to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm. So
they did a show at the Bluebird, and I got to be in the show as well, mostly playing guitar with all of them. But so we do this Songwriting with Soldiers show, and I'm sitting across from Mary, and she starts playing some of these songs that were on her last album, which are all songs that she wrote with Soldiers. And it was like one after the other, just killing me. I mean, she'd play a song and I'm just like, oh my God. And then she'd play the next one. I go, oh, that one's better than the last one, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I joked that night. I went up to her and I said, I want you to know, Mary, that every time I hear you sing a song, it makes me cuss. And she said, what do you mean?
What?
And you sing a song and I go, damn it, Mary. And I said, then you sing another one and I go, damn it, Mary.
Oh, so
we got a good laugh out of that. And then I rolled that around and I was like, you know what?
Got to write that. Yeah.
I'm going to write that. And if nothing else, just again, kind of like, just to have it. I wrote the song and I actually emailed Mary and I said, hey, I'm not trying to bug you. I'm not trying to pitch you a song. I'm not trying to do anything.
Just want you to have it.
If you remember this show and this night,
yeah.
I wrote this song. It's a dedicated to you. I want to put it on my new record, but I want your blessing.
Oh.
I said, and if you say no, no one will ever hear this song. And but I want your permission to send this to you so you'll listen to it. And she said, well, yeah, go ahead and send it to me. So I sent it to her and I got an email back and she said, love it. So
you got her blessing.
That's it.
Let's play it about Mary Goucher. This is Damn It, Mary. Eddie Heinzelman, our guest on the podcast.
Hold my fate in the palm of your hand. This ain't some lover's game we're playing. You smile that smile, then you cue the band, and I hang on every word you're saying. Damn it, Mary, why you gotta treat me like this? You keep tearing my heart right out of my chest. Got me cussing and a crying. My head's all a mess. Damn it, Mary. Damn it, Mary. These songs are right on a runaway train with the beauty that keeps me coming back for more. But the redemption is worth the pain, 'cause you're the queen of the merciful troubadour. Damn it, Mary, why you gotta treat me like this? You keep tearing my heart right out of my chest. You got me cussing and a crying. My head's all a mess. Damn it, Mary. Damn it, Mary. My head's all a mess. Damn it, Mary. Well, damn it, Mary. Why you gotta treat me like this? You keep tearing my heart right out of my chest. You got me cussing and a crying. My head's all a mess. Damn it, Mary. Damn it, Mary.
I think if you listen to Mary Boucher, you'd probably say the same thing. First time I heard the song Mercy Now, I'm like, damn it, Mary. Eddie Heinzelman, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. That's from his new CD, which is called Wherever You Go. It's a great record. Pick it up. Great song and great story.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
hey, listen, I want to give everybody your web page again. Tell them how they can get your stuff.
Sure. Yeah, it's eddieheinzelman.com. Or you can actually go to cousineddymusic.com.
That would be a lot easier, huh? cousineddymusic.com. So there you go. Check it out. Go there. Eddie Heinzelman, just a great guy, great musician, and good to catch up with you, Eddie. You're just amazing. I'm so proud to know you. I really am.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we've known each other a long time.
We really have, man. And we got to get together and try to write one or two, you know?
Yes, sir.
Maybe with our good friend Billy, who was our first guest on the show. So before we go, though, I'm going to play my favorite cut from your record. Is that okay? This is called Dandelion. Is there a story behind it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Dandelion it goes back to, there's a book publisher in North Carolina called Working Title Farm. And they used to do this series that they called Trio. The idea was they would take a book, a new release book, a visual artist, painter, sculptor, something like that, and a songwriter, and pair them up. And so I was asked to be a part of this trio. I think this was 2018, maybe. Wow. Might have been. I think that was the year. And
they all run together.
Yeah. So I was sent a book. The author was Billy Coffey from Virginia, and the book was called Steal Away Home. And I start reading the book, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I've never really written what we call on spec, like that, where it's like, write this.
Write this. Yeah.
So, but the idea was read the book and then write a song. And I knew at the time I didn't want to just tell the story of the book, right? You can't give away the ending in the song kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I get about halfway through this book, and I realize that there's just something about it that's hitting me really hard. And again, I'm on tour with Radney, and we're touring a lot. And I'm reading, I remember exactly, I'm sitting on an airplane, waiting to back away from the terminal. We were flying to play and open up for Darius Rucker.
Oh, wow.
So this is a big weekend. We're going to play in front of 20,000 people. At the show, we end up playing the encore with Darius and his band. So it was an amazing night. But
wow.
This was that morning, basically.
Very cool.
And I sit and I open the book and I start reading, and I get to this page and I just lose it. I mean, I'm bawling my eyes out.
Powerful, huh?
Wow. Sitting on the tarmac, and people around me like, what's up with this guy? And I just like, I can't do this. And so I closed the book, and I immediately texted Sherry at the publishing company. I said, the premise of the book is, the character in the book is, small town, and he's a baseball player. He's actually moved up through the minors, and he's got his big break, one game with the majors.
Oh, I'm into it.
He's called up for one game.
For one game. Got to find that book.
And so the whole book takes place in the span of this game. It's a really, and all of the things, just the small town thing, the underdog, the years of struggle, the, on and on and on, all these things lined up with like my life and career,
Oh, man.
So I texted her and I said, this book isn't about baseball at all, is it? and she laughed, and she was like, no, it's not. So anyway, I came and I said, okay, I need to write this song. I don't know what I'm going to write about. I had this lofty idea of doing just a instrumental piece, kind of a jazz pastoral, epic. And I was like, I don't have time to do that and all the instrumentation and stuff. So I was like, what do songwriters do when they can't figure out what to write about? And I said, oh, I know. Write about the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
So that's where there's a thing in the book that where the title comes from. So I start writing these lines, and it just sort of flows out at this point. So Dandelion, I don't know if I want to give away the plot or not, but well, yeah, I will. So there's a boy and a girl, and they're not supposed to, they're from different sides of town, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They meet at this tree every day after school. And if they miss each other, right, she leaves him a little stack of rocks to let him know that she was there.
Okay.
And if he shows up to the tree and she doesn't show up, he leaves dandelions.
Oh.
And so that's where the title came from. And then, the rest of the song. And now technically there's a song on the album before that called Steal Away. Okay. That's the instrumental piece that I started.
Okay. That's where that came
from. Yeah, the intention was that this was going to be this extended instrumental piece into the song, Dandelion. So it really should be Steal Away / Dandelion. Honestly, when I got to we started doing the CD printing and everything, they ended up cutting them, into separate pieces.
Separate pieces.
But they technically go together.
Okay. Well,
but I tell people too, I was able to get Greg Martin from the Kentucky Headhunters. He plays slide on Dandelion.
Wow. That's his slide. I was
his
thinking it was
slide
yours.
on Dandelion.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's Greg.
Great. Let's take a listen. Yeah. I love this. This is some great work right here. Eddie Heinzelman, our guest of the Songwriter Connection podcast. From his album Wherever You Go, this is Dandelion.
Couldn't dare be seen together, 'cause word sure gets around. Her golden hair falling on her snow white dress. I knew I'd love her forever after our first kiss. But were you ever mine, Dandelion? Standing on that hillside, she asked, what do you see? I said, out there's everything I want, but right here's all I need. She said, you'll spend your lifetime searching for answers you could find at home. She kissed me deeply one more time, and in a moment she was gone. Were you ever mine, sweet Dandelion? Will you ever really mine? that's what I get for loving what can love me back. The one of a dream that'll never miss me at all. It's beautiful because it's so big, and it's hell because I'm so small. But were you ever mine? Dandelion.
I think I'll say it. Damn it, Eddie. What a great song. And I'll tell you, what great guitar work. You must have, to me, that's kind of got a Muscle Shoals sound to it. You know what I'm saying? That's just amazing, man. I love it. Where did you record that record?
We recorded it here in Nashville at a studio called the Insanery.
Insanery. Well, it is insane. Let me tell you, insane guitar work, and I love it. And just, I can't recommend this record enough for you. You need to pick it up, and you need to go to cousineddymusic.com to find out more. Eddie, thank you. This is exactly what I wanted on this show, the stories behind the music. And thank you for taking the time to share those stories with us.
Oh, man, thank you so much. Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
And maybe we'll do it after COVID passes. Maybe we can do it in person where you can actually play some live music around my dining room table like we've done from time to time. So
yeah, there you go. That sounds great.
I hope you will. We'll do that. We'll make an appointment. Thanks for joining us. And we'll catch you next time on the podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Linehan's Nashville Connection radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.